As we think about our church heritage and history, we need to thank Thelma Otto, Mary Ellen Barnes, Clifford Yingling, Dan Armacost, and a number of others who have supplied the information that we want to share with you this morning.
It is impossible to share all the information that we have received, so we share with you this morning just some of it. The rest of it is for another anniversary Sunday.
In 1856, 165 years ago, before the bombing of Fort Sumter, which began the American Civil War, a group of the followers of Jesus in Finksburg started a Sabbath church for the children.
Apparently, there were a number of children in the community, and the adults felt that they should have lessons in Christian faith. Christian education has been important ever since for this congregation.
According to Thelma, in April 1856, a group known as the Finksburg congregation met and drew up plans for the first building. Land was purchased that year at Hooker's Meadow on the west side of the old turnpike for $100. The original building was built, it was about 30 by 40 and had a flat roof.
By 1896, the congregation had outgrown that small building. 4 acres of land were purchased for $500 from S.B. Stockwell and Sons for a new church building and a cemetery. Construction on the new building began on July 15th of that year. The old building was torn down and situated to preserve the old bricks and wood for use in the new building. During the construction of the new building, worship services were held at George W. Harner's store across the street, which is still standing today.
But in September, just as the rafters were being erected, a severe storm came and blew down the building. Immediately, work on the new church building was resumed, and it was completely finished.
In 1897, a 1,000-pound bell was purchased for $290 and was installed in the bell tower. Tradition is that a team of horses owned by a local farmer pulled the bell up to the top of the tower. For many years, a little lady, I love that, a little lady named Goldie Hensley would ring that bell on Sunday mornings, inviting the neighbors to worship God.
What is interesting is the name of our church. In 1820, a group of Methodists broke away from the current denomination to form the Methodist Protestant Church, often simply called MP. This group felt that the bishops had too much power and lay leaders not enough. Because they were unable to convince the denomination in annual conference, they separated.
If you stand in front of our church building and look up, you will see right below the bell tower the inscription Finksburg MP Church. Apparently, when our church was formed, they identified themselves with the Methodist Protestant denomination.
We have no record when the church changed its name from Finksburg MP Church to Mount Zion, nor do we know why the change was made. The name Mount Zion is the hill that leads up to the city in Jerusalem.
Another major change took place in 1946 when the state of Maryland decided to build a new 4-lane highway to Westminster. Route 140 divided the church property with the church building and parsonage on one side of the road and the church cemetery on the other. There are still some people in our congregation who remember trees and not just all the commercial property on both sides of the road and playing there as children.
The social hall we use now was added in the year 1961. Before that, we had a very small social hall which was used for dinners and parties. The kitchen was where the choir robes are now stored.
We must not forget that Christian education was foundational for the founding of this church. The church called it Sabbath School, and there is a marker on the left front wall of the church depicting the founding of the Sabbath School.
There were many faithful Sunday school teachers like Nancy Mann, June Twigg, Thelma Otto, June Kay, Jonathan Beatrice Bemby, Dorothy Amacost, and the list just goes on and on. We had 2 adult classes. Clarence Taylor's class, he was the former pastor in the kitchen, and Jonathan Bemby's class, which was held in the sanctuary. Our social hall was divided with dividers that separated many classes for the children and youth.
Those who grew up at Mount Zion will never forget our Christmas parties. The Armacosts and the Kays helped get that tradition started. We started out with a party for our own congregation, but soon after that, it was open to the community. The party and dinner grew so large that we had to move it to the Beaver Run Fish and Game Building.
Originally, the gifts were given to underprivileged children. Santa Claus would come make an appearance and gifts would be given out. Helping others has always been one of our church's main concerns.
Socializing and important fellowship was part of this church. Of all the church meals, our Thanksgiving fellowship dinner was the biggest. It was more elaborate than the usual meal, and it was truly a feast.
Friday evening church-wide fellowship suppers have always been very popular, bringing our people together. In fact, they continued until the coronavirus came last year and we had to cancel. Dottie Plummer and Linda Tingler were early coordinators and pretty much ran the kitchen, as Joan Ty does today. A women's group called the Ladies' Aid Society always had many active women taking part, helping out around the church.
We are going to invite you to take a break for a few minutes from our history. We will come back to share with you about our famous pancake brunches and the importance of Anniversary Sunday worship. But we don't want to lose sight of the fact that the foundation of our church at Mount Zion is more than just programs. It is based on the love of God in Jesus. Robert and Dawn Critchley have recorded a beautiful song, "What a Faithful God Have I." Our faithful God has guided our people over these many years. We hope that you will find this song and its message powerful.
Our famous and very popular Saturday morning pancake brunch was started by some men in the church over 60 years ago, led by Eddie Hahn. About 2007, Cliff Yingling took over the responsibility, and now Dan, son of Eddie, is heading up this project. Eddie established the menu, which remains about the same through the years. It still includes pancakes, buckwheat cakes, that some people really enjoy, sausage, scrambled eggs, orange juice, applesauce, and coffee. Now Eddie, he really liked carnation milk, so much that he put it in his Aunt Mama pancake mix, which he always used to make those famous pancakes.
The reason for the fall and spring dates is interesting, and again established by Eddie. The first Saturday in the fall, where we had our pancake brunch, correlates with the start of the hunting season. And the first Saturday in the spring, when we have our spring pancake brunch, correlates with the start of the fishing season.
Anniversary Sunday was celebrated on the second Sunday of June. And here we are this morning celebrating. And it was always a big affair and a big fundraiser for the Sunday school.
Mary Ellen has vivid memories of Anniversary Sunday. Women wore dresses or suits, white gloves, hat, hose, and heels. Her mom called them pumps. I can remember that vividly as a child, but it sure has changed today. Children wore their Sunday best, and men and women wore suits, ties, long-sleeve shirts, and dress shoes. Anniversary Sunday always seems to fall on a very hot, humid summer day, which is known for June here.
Climate change. Dan said one year it was so hot that he got his shirt stuck on the varnish on the back of the pews. The sanctuary was sweltering as there was no air conditioning or electric fans. Instead, we used reed fans, and one person that I remember, handheld fans with a picture of Jesus on one side and the funeral home on the other side.
In the old days, there were two worship services, one at 10:30 a.m. and the afternoon service at 2:30 p.m. A luncheon was held downstairs between the services. It is interesting how they received the special offering on Anniversary Sunday. At the morning service, 4 to 6 ushers would take cash pledges in memory or in honor from the congregation pew by pew, and then these were all recorded by hand.
After about 4 or 5 pledges were gathered, an usher would call out the names and amounts of money given. Of course, the pledges could be just stated as from a friend or kept anonymous. This long-standing practice was just for the morning service, and the children seemed to think it would take forever.
For some years, we had 4 choirs. The children's choir sang several songs at the morning service. The adult and teen choirs sang at both services, and the men's choir led the congregation in a hymn. Sometimes Shelley Armacost Ruby would sing a solo such as the Lord's Prayer, accompanied by her mom, Doris Armacost.
Although Mount Zion may be a small congregation in numbers, it has had a strong outreach and mission since its beginning 156 years ago, not only to our own congregation, but also to the community. The great commandment of Jesus reminds us to love God and also to love our neighbor.
Although our main mission is to those in our geographical area, we have reached out in times of national disaster and shared our financial gifts. In recent years, thanks to the extraordinary leadership of Barbara Hayes, we have touched a number of persons with our mission, emphasis, and goals, and also with our community service fund.
A final memory from Thelma. Her daughter Charlene remembers running up the steps on one side of the vestibule and down the steps on the other. Apparently her mother did the same thing. How did she do this? The elevator had not yet been installed.
And so we close with these words from Thelma. Come into my heart, Lord Jesus. Come in today, come in to stay. Come into my heart, Lord Jesus.